First contact, unexpected visitors. The vast expanse of space had always held mysteries, but humanity never expected those mysteries to come knocking at their doorstep. It was a quiet Tuesday morning when the first signs appeared on the long-range sensors of the International Space Station. At first, the astronauts dismissed it as a glitch, a phantom blip on the radar. But as hours passed, the blip grew stronger, more defined, until there was no denying the truth. Something was approaching Earth. Dr. Samantha Chen, lead astrophysicist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, stared at the data streaming across her monitors with a mix of excitement and trepidation. "This is unprecedented," she murmured to her colleague, Dr. Marcus Okoye. "The trajectory, the speed, it's not natural. We're looking at controlled movement." Marcus leaned in, his eyes widening as he processed the implications. "Are you saying what I think you're saying, Sam?" Samantha nodded slowly, a smile spreading across her face despite the gravity of the situation. "We're not alone, Marcus, and they're coming to say hello." The news spread like wildfire. Within hours, every major news network was broadcasting the same headline: "Alien Fleet Approaching Earth." The initial reaction was a cocktail of emotions: fear, excitement, disbelief, and hope all swirled together in the collective consciousness of humanity. As the days passed and the alien fleet drew closer, more details emerged. The fleet consisted of dozens of ships, varying in size, but all seemingly constructed of a dull, almost primitive-looking metal. Earth's most powerful telescopes captured grainy images that were instantly disseminated across the globe. In the White House Situation Room, President Elena Rodriguez sat at the head of a long table, surrounded by her top advisors and military brass. "What are we looking at here, people?" she asked, her voice steady despite the unprecedented nature of the situation. General William Hayes, a grizzled veteran with more stars on his shoulder than most people had in their entire sky, cleared his throat. "Madam President, based on our analysis, the alien fleet appears to be, well, outdated." A murmur of confusion rippled through the room. The president raised an eyebrow. "Outdated? Can you elaborate, General?" Hayes nodded, tapping a few keys on his tablet. The large screen at the end of the room filled with enhanced images of the approaching ships. "As you can see, the construction is crude by our standards. No sign of energy shielding, no discernible weapon systems that we can detect. Honestly, Madam President, if I didn't know better, I'd say we were looking at space junk." Dr. Chen, who had been flown in from JPL for this meeting, spoke up. "With all due respect, General, we shouldn't underestimate them. The mere fact that they've achieved interstellar travel puts some leagues ahead of us technologically." The president nodded thoughtfully. "Dr. Chen is right. We need to approach this cautiously. What are our options?" As the meeting continued, debates raged across the globe. Social media was ablaze with theories, memes, and heated arguments. Some saw the aliens as harbingers of a new age of enlightenment, while others warned of impending doom. But as more information about the seemingly primitive nature of the alien fleet circulated, a new sentiment began to take hold: amusement. Late-night talk show hosts cracked jokes about the Tin Can invasion. Political cartoonists had a field day, depicting little green men piloting ships held together with duct tape and hope. Even respected scientists began to speculate that perhaps this was some sort of intergalactic joke or a test from a more advanced civilization. In a popular cafe in Paris, Pierre Dubois sipped his espresso and chuckled as he scrolled through his newsfeed. "Can you believe it?" he said to his companion. "All this fuss over what looks like floating scrap metal. Maybe they're coming to ask for our help." Similar scenes played out across the globe. In Tokyo, schoolchildren giggled as they drew pictures of funny-looking aliens in rickety spaceships. In Rio de Janeiro, revelers at a street party wore costumes mocking the approaching fleet, their laughter echoing through the night. But not everyone was laughing. In her lab at MIT, Dr. Aisha Patel worked tirelessly, analyzing every scrap of data she could get her hands on. "We're missing something," she muttered to herself, her eyes bloodshot from lack of sleep. It doesn't add up. Why would a civilization capable of interstellar travel use such primitive-looking ships? As the alien fleet entered the solar system, Earth's leaders debated the best course of action. Some advocated for a show of force, a demonstration of Earth's military might to deter any potential hostile intentions. Others pushed for a more diplomatic approach, arguing that any civilization advanced enough for interstellar travel must be peaceful. In the end, a compromise was reached. A small fleet of Earth's most advanced spacecraft would be sent to greet the aliens, accompanied by a team of diplomats, scientists, and military personnel. The mission was clear: establish peaceful contact if possible, but be prepared for anything. As the Earth fleet prepared for launch, a sense of anticipation mixed with underlying nervousness permeated the globe. Despite the seemingly non-threatening appearance of the alien ships, the unknown still loomed large. Captain Sarah Martinez stood on the bridge of the EDS Horizon, Earth's flagship for this historic mission. She surveyed her crew, a hand-picked team of the best and brightest humanity had to offer. "All right, people," she said, her voice firm and reassuring. "We've trained for this. Whatever happens out there, we're making history. Let's show these visitors what humanity is made of." As the engines of the Earth fleet roared to life, billions watched from homes, public squares, and makeshift camps. The laughter and jokes of the past weeks faded, replaced by a tense silence. Humanity held its collective breath as their representatives ventured forth to make first contact. Little did they know, the true nature of the alien visit was about to be revealed, and it would shake the very foundations of their world. The laughter that had echoed across the globe would soon be silenced, replaced by a stark realization. They had gravely underestimated the threat that lurked behind those primitive-looking ships. As the Earth fleet accelerated towards their rendezvous with the unknown, Captain Martinez couldn't shake a nagging feeling in the pit of her stomach. Despite the confidence she projected for her crew, a small voice in the back of her mind whispered a warning: "Be careful what you wish for." The stage was set for a confrontation that would determine the fate of humanity. The visitors from the stars were about to make their true intentions known, and Earth would never be the same again. The deception unveiled. As Earth's welcoming fleet approached the alien armada, the mood aboard the EDS Horizon was a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Captain Sarah Martinez stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the main view screen where the alien ships loomed larger with each passing moment. "All systems check out, Captain," reported Lieutenant Raj Patel from his station. "We're within hailing range." Martinez nodded, taking a deep breath. "Open a channel broad spectrum. Let's say hello." The communications officer, Ensign Maria Lopez, worked her console with practiced ease. "Channel open, Captain. Broadcasting on all frequencies." Captain Martinez straightened her uniform and cleared her throat. "This is Captain Sarah Martinez of the Earth Defense Ship Horizon. On behalf of the people of Earth, we welcome you to our solar system and extend greetings of peace and friendship." The bridge fell silent as they waited for a response. Seconds stretched into minutes, the tension palpable. Suddenly, the view screen flickered and a form appeared. The alien was humanoid, with grey-green skin and large almond-shaped eyes. Its mouth didn't move, but a voice resonated through the bridge, seemingly emanating from everywhere at once. "Greetings, humans. We are the Zar Kali. We come in peace and wish to share knowledge." A collective sigh of relief swept through the bridge. First contact had been made, and it seemed peaceful. But Dr. Aisha Patel, watching the exchange from her lab back on Earth, felt her unease grow. Something about this didn't feel right. Over the next few hours, the Zar Kali shared information about their culture and technology. They explained that their ship's primitive appearance was due to a philosophy of minimalism and resource conservation. Earth's leaders, scientists, and citizens alike were captivated by the aliens' seemingly benevolent nature. But as the Zar Kali fleet drew closer to Earth, Dr. Patel made a startling discovery. Analyzing the data from Earth's deep space sensors, she noticed minute discrepancies in the energy readings from the alien ships. "It can't be," she muttered, double-checking her calculations. With trembling hands, she reached for her communicator. "This is Dr. Petal. I need to speak to the president immediately. It's about the aliens. We've made a terrible mistake." But her warning came too late. Aboard the EDS Horizon, Captain Martinez was in the middle of a friendly exchange with the Zarkali representative when alarms began blaring. "Captain," Lieutenant Patel shouted, his voice filled with panic. "Multiple energy spikes detected from the alien fleet. They're powering up some kind of... Oh my God." Before Martinez could respond, the viewscreen erupted in a blinding flash. When the light faded, the primitive-looking ships were gone. In their place floated sleek, menacing vessels bristling with weaponry. "It was a trick," Martinez whispered, the realization hitting her like a physical blow. "Red alert. All hands to battle stations." But the Earth fleet, caught completely off guard, stood little chance against the Zarkali's superior technology. Energy beams lanced out from the alien ships, slicing through Earth vessels like they were made of paper. "Evasive maneuvers," Martinez ordered, gripping her chair as the horizon shuddered under enemy fire. "Get a message to Earth. Warn them." Back on Earth, chaos erupted as the true nature of the alien threat became apparent. The laughter and jokes of the past weeks turned to ash in the mouths of those who had mocked the primitive alien fleet. President Rodriguez stood in the Situation Room, her face ashen as reports flooded in. "How did we not see this coming?" she demanded. General Hayes, his earlier bravado gone, shook his head. "They fooled us all, Madam President. The primitive appearance, the peaceful overtures. It was all a ruse to get close to Earth without raising our defenses." As the remains of Earth's greeting fleet limped back towards the planet, the Zarkali ships took up positions around the globe. Their true message, when it came, chilled the blood of every human who heard it. "People of Earth," the alien voice boomed through every communication device on the planet. "Your world is now under the control of the Zarkali Empire. Resistance is futile. Submit and you may live to serve. Resist and face annihilation." In New York, the giant screens in Times Square that had recently displayed memes mocking the alien ships now showed scenes of destruction as Zarkali forces began their invasion. In Beijing, people who had laughed at the idea of a primitive alien threat now huddled in fear as strange aircraft darkened the skies. Dr. Petal, watching the invasion unfold from her lab, felt a mix of vindication and despair. "We should have known," she said to no one in particular. "No species achieves interstellar travel without advancing in other areas as well. We let our arrogance blind us." As Zarkali ships descended on major cities across the globe, humanity faced a stark reality. They had grossly underestimated their visitors, allowing themselves to be lulled into a false sense of security. Now they were paying the price for their complacency. In orbit, Captain Martinez and the surviving crew of the Horizon watched helplessly as their home came under attack. "We need to do something," she said, her voice tight with determination. "We can't just sit here and watch our world fall." Lieutenant Patel looked up from his damaged console. "What can we do, Captain? Our weapons are no match for theirs." Martinez's eyes blazed with resolve. "We use our greatest weapon, Lieutenant. The one thing that's gotten humanity through every challenge we've ever faced, our ingenuity." As the invasion raged on Earth, Martinez and her crew began formulating a desperate plan. They might not have the technology to match the Zarkali, but they had something the aliens hadn't counted on, the indomitable human spirit. Meanwhile, on the ground, pockets of resistance began to form. In the shadows of burning cities and amidst the chaos of alien occupation, humans from all walks of life came together. Scientists, soldiers, teachers, and farmers, all united by a common goal to reclaim their world. Dr. Petal, having narrowly escaped the fall of MIT, found herself leading a group of survivors through the ruins of Cambridge. "We need to gather information," she told her ragtag band. "The more we learn about their technology, the better chance we have of finding a weakness." As night fell on the first day of the invasion, humanity stood on the brink. The Zarkali's deception had been brutally effective, leaving Earth's defenses in shambles. But in the face of this overwhelming threat, a spark of defiance burned in the hearts of humans around the globe. The laughter that had once echoed across the planet was gone, replaced by a grim determination. Humanity had been fooled once, but they wouldn't go down without a fight. The war for Earth had begun, and against all odds, humans would prove why they should never be underestimated. As the Zarkali consolidated their hold on the planet, they were about to learn a harsh lesson. Humanity's greatest strength often emerges in its darkest hour. The coming days would test the limits of human resilience, ingenuity, and courage. The battle for Earth's future was just beginning. Humanity on the brink. The dawn of the third day since the Zarkali invasion broke over a changed Earth. Smoke from burning cities blotted out the sun in many areas, casting an apocalyptic pall over the planet. The initial shock of the invasion had given way to a grim reality. Humanity was fighting for its very survival. In what remained of Washington, D.C., President Rodriguez had been evacuated to a hidden bunker. She sat at a makeshift command center, surrounded by advisors and military personnel, their faces gaunt from lack of sleep and the weight of their responsibility. "What's our status?" the president asked, her voice hoarse. General Hayes, looking years older than he had just days ago, pulled up a holographic map of the globe. Red dots representing Zarkali-controlled areas dominated the display. "It's not good, Madam President," he said grimly. "They've taken control of most major cities. Our military bases have been hit hard. We're looking at maybe 30% of our forces still operational, and that's being optimistic." Rodriguez closed her eyes for a moment, steeling herself. "And civilian casualties." A somber silence fell over the room. It was Dr. Chen who finally spoke up, her voice barely above a whisper. "Early estimates suggest millions, Madam President, and rising." The weight of those words hung heavy in the air. Millions of lives lost, and for what? Because they had laughed at the wrong moment. "We need a plan," Rodriguez said, her voice finding strength. "We can't just sit here and watch our world burn." Meanwhile, in the skies above North America, Captain Sarah Martinez and the crew of the EDS Horizon were putting their desperate plan into action. They had managed to salvage parts from destroyed Earth ships to jury-rig a cloaking device, using principles they had observed from the Zarkali's own technology. "It's not pretty, but it should work," Lieutenant Patel said, wiping grease from his hands. "At least long enough for us to get close to one of their command ships." Martinez nodded, a grim smile on her face. "It doesn't need to be pretty, Lieutenant. It just needs to work." As the Horizon limped towards the nearest Zarkali command ship, teams on the ground were mounting their own resistance. In the ruins of London, a group led by Royal Air Force pilot James Collins had managed to capture a downed Zarkali fighter. "If we can figure out how this thing works," Collins said, gesturing to the alien craft, "we might be able to turn their own weapons against them." Similar scenes played out across the globe. In the mountains of Peru, indigenous tribes who had eschewed much of modern technology found themselves uniquely prepared for guerrilla warfare against the alien invaders. In the suburbs of Tokyo, a group of robotics engineers worked tirelessly to repurpose their creations for combat. But for every small victory, there were devastating losses. The Zarkali's superior technology and ruthless tactics were taking a heavy toll. In Australia, the entire continent had gone dark, all communications cut off. The fate of millions remained unknown. In her hidden lab, Dr. Aisha Patel worked feverishly to understand the Zarkali technology. She had managed to salvage components from destroyed alien devices, and what she was discovering both terrified and excited her. "Their tech, it's like nothing we've ever seen," she explained to her team. "But it's not magic. It operates on principles we can understand, given time. And if we can understand it, "We can fight it," one of her assistants finished. Patel nodded, a spark of hope in her eyes. Exactly. As the day wore on, reports from around the world painted a picture of a species pushed to its limits, but refusing to give up. In Brazil, farmers used their intimate knowledge of the land to ambush Zarkali patrols. In Russia, survivors used the harsh winter conditions to their advantage, luring alien units into icy traps. But the Zarkali were not idle. Their ships hung in the sky like dark clouds, raining destruction on any sign of organized resistance. They seemed to take particular pleasure in destroying cultural landmarks, as if to erase human history itself. The pyramids of Giza were reduced to rubble. The Taj Mahal was vaporized in a blast of energy. The Great Wall of China was breached and burned. Each loss was a blow to the human spirit, a reminder of what was at stake. As night fell, President Rodriguez addressed what remained of her nation, and by extension the world. Her words were broadcast on every frequency still under human control, a rallying cry for a battered but unbroken humanity. "My fellow citizens of Earth," she began, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. "We face the greatest threat in our history. The Zarkali came to our world under the guise of peace, only to betray us in our moment of trust. They sought to break us with their deception and their advanced technology." She paused, her eyes blazing with determination. "But they have underestimated us. Yes, we are bloodied. Yes, we have suffered terrible losses, but we are not beaten. Throughout our history, humanity has faced seemingly insurmountable odds. We have weathered ice ages, plagues, and our own capacity for self-destruction. Each time, we have emerged stronger. The Zarkali believe their technology makes them invincible, but they forget that every piece of technology they possess was once an idea in someone's mind. And if there's one thing humans excel at, it's ideas. We are adaptable, we are resourceful, and most importantly, we never ever give up. To those who are fighting on the front lines, in the ruins of our cities, in makeshift labs and hidden bunkers, know that your courage inspires us all. To those in hiding, biding their time, your day will come. And to the Zarkali, who thought they could conquer us with ease, I say this: you have awakened a sleeping giant. Prepare yourselves, for humanity is coming. As Rodriguez's words echoed across the planet, they sparked a renewed sense of hope and determination. In occupied cities, resistance members painted human handprints on walls as a sign of defiance. In hidden enclaves, scientists and engineers redoubled their efforts to unlock the secrets of Zarkali technology. And in orbit, the EDS Horizon, hidden by its jury-rigged cloaking device, crept ever closer to the heart of the Zarkali fleet. Captain Martinez and her crew knew their mission might be a one-way trip, but they were prepared to make that sacrifice if it meant giving humanity a fighting chance. As the third day of the invasion came to a close, Earth stood on a knife's edge. The Zarkali's grip on the planet was strong, but not unbreakable. Humanity had been pushed to the brink, but they were far from defeated. The coming days would determine the fate of not just a planet, but a species. In labs, in bunkers, in the ruins of once great cities, humans prepared for the fight of their lives. The Zarkali had brought war to Earth, believing victory was assured. They were about to learn why humanity had survived every cataclysm it had ever faced. The battle for Earth was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. The resistance rises. As the first rays of dawn broke through the smoke-filled sky, the remnants of humanity stirred with a newfound resolve. President Rodriguez's speech had ignited a spark of hope that was quickly fanning into a flame of resistance across the globe. In the heart of New York City's underground subway system, Dr. Aisha Patel had set up a makeshift laboratory. Surrounded by a team of scientists and engineers from various disciplines, she pored over the alien technology they had managed to salvage. "Look at this," she said, holding up a small, pulsating device. "Their power sources are incredibly efficient. If we can reverse engineer this, we might be able to power our own weapons and defenses indefinitely." Across the Atlantic, in the Scottish Highlands, a group of hackers led by Finn MacLeod had established a hidden communications hub. Using a combination of old shortwave radios and repurposed satellite dishes, they managed to create a global network for the resistance. "We call it the Whisper Net," Finn explained to a group of newcomers. "It's slow, and it's not pretty, but the Zarkali can't detect it. This is how we're going to coordinate our counterattack." Meanwhile, in orbit, the EDS Horizon had finally reached its target, the massive Zarkali command ship that coordinated the alien forces on Earth. Captain Sarah Martinez looked at her crew, their faces a mixture of determination and fear. "This is it," she said, her voice steady. "We have one shot at this. If we can disable their command ship, we might just give Earth the opening it needs." Lieutenant Raj Patel nodded, his hands hovering over the controls. "Ready when you are, Captain." Martinez took a deep breath. "Disengage cloaking device. All power to weapons. Fire everything we've got." The Horizon decloaked and unleashed a barrage of missiles and energy weapons at point-blank range. The Zarkali, caught completely by surprise, scrambled to respond. For a brief moment, it seemed like the daring plan might succeed. But the aliens' superior technology quickly turned the tide. Energy shields flickered to life, absorbing most of the Horizon's assault. Return fire lanced out, tearing into the Earth ship's hull. "We've lost engines," Patel shouted over the sound of alarms. "Weapons are offline." Martinez gritted her teeth. "Initiate Protocol Omega. Get to the escape pods." As the crew abandoned ship, Martinez stayed behind, piloting the crippled Horizon on a collision course with the Zarkali command ship. In her final moments, she smiled, knowing her sacrifice would not be in vain. The resulting explosion didn't destroy the alien vessel, but it did significant damage. More importantly, it disrupted the Zarkali's command structure, causing confusion among their forces on Earth. Back on the ground, resistance fighters seized the opportunity. In Paris, a team led by former Special Forces operative Amélie Rousseau used the aliens' momentary disarray to infiltrate and destroy a Zarkali supply depot. "For Earth," Rousseau cried as she detonated the charges, the fireball illuminating the night sky. Similar scenes played out across the globe. In Rio de Janeiro, samba dancers turned guerrilla fighters used their knowledge of the city's complex favelas to ambush alien patrols. In Mumbai, Bollywood stunt performers put their skills to use, orchestrating daring raids on Zarkali outposts. But the aliens were far from defeated. As they regrouped, their retaliation was swift and brutal. Entire cities were leveled in response to acts of resistance. The death toll continued to mount, and for every small victory, humanity suffered devastating losses. In her underground lab, Dr. Patel worked tirelessly, driven by both desperation and hope. Her team had made significant progress in understanding Zarkali technology, but time was running out. "We're close to cracking their energy shield technology," she explained to President Rodriguez via secure Whisper Net connection. "But we need more time, and we need more data." Rodriguez, her face gaunt from sleepless nights, nodded. "You'll get what you need, Doctor. Every piece of alien tech we capture is being sent your way. Just hurry." As weeks turned into months, the face of the planet changed dramatically. Once bustling metropolises lay in ruins, while hidden human enclaves buzzed with activity. Nature began to reclaim abandoned areas, creating an eerie juxtaposition of destruction and rebirth. In what was once the Australian outback, now a Zarkali mining operation, a group of Aboriginal resistance fighters used their deep connection to the land to sabotage the aliens' efforts. Led by Jalu, a respected elder, they moved like ghosts through the red desert, striking without warning and vanishing without a trace. "This land has survived for tens of thousands of years," Jalu told his people. "It will not fall to these sky invaders. We are its protectors, and we will prevail." In Antarctica, a multinational team of scientists and soldiers had established a hidden base in an abandoned research station. Here, they worked on adapting Earth's weapons to combat the Zarkali threat. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a brilliant physicist, had a breakthrough. "We can use the extreme cold here to our advantage," she explained, holding up a modified rifle. "This weapon uses superconductors cooled by liquid nitrogen. It can punch through their energy shields." As news of these developments spread through the whisper net, hope began to grow. Humanity, backed into a corner, was doing what it did best: adapting, innovating, and refusing to give up. In orbit, the surviving crew of the EDS Horizon, led by Lieutenant Poto, had been rescued by a daring mission launched from a hidden base in the Himalayas. Their knowledge of Zarkali ship layouts and tactics proved invaluable to the resistance. Captain Martinez's sacrifice wasn't in vain, Patel told the rescue team. "We've identified a weakness in their command structure. If we can exploit it, we might be able to turn this war around." Back in Washington, or what remained of it, President Rodriguez met with her advisors. The room was tense, filled with the weight of decisions that would determine the fate of the species. "We're at a tipping point," General Hayes explained, gesturing to a holographic map of Earth. "The Zarkali still have the upper hand, but their grip is slipping. If we can coordinate a global counteroffensive, hit them simultaneously on multiple fronts, we might have a chance." Rodriguez nodded, her eyes reflecting a mix of determination and the heavy burden of leadership. "Then that's what we'll do. Send word through the whisper net. Tell every resistance cell, every survivor, every human left fighting. In 1 week, we take back our planet." As the orbis went out, a surge of activity swept through human-controlled areas. Weapons were distributed, strategies finalized, goodbyes said. Everyone knew the coming battle would determine the fate of humanity. In her lab, Dr. Patel put the finishing touches on a device that could potentially turn the tide of the war. "It's done," she said, holding up a small, pulsating orb. "If this works, it will disrupt their entire power grid." Across the world, humans prepared for the fight of their lives. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and facing an enemy with vastly superior technology. But they had something the Zarkali had never counted on: the unbreakable human spirit. As the day of the counteroffensive dawned, President Rodriguez addressed the resistance one last time. "Today, we fight not just for our lives, but for our very existence as a species. The Zarkali thought they could break us. They thought wrong. Show them what humanity is made of. Show them why Earth will always be our home." With those words, Operation Thunderstrike began. Across the globe, at exactly the same moment, humanity launched its desperate bid for freedom. The fate of Earth hung in the balance as the greatest battle in human history erupted on every continent. The Zarkali were about to learn a harsh lesson: never underestimate the human capacity for resilience, ingenuity, and courage in the face of overwhelming odds. Turning the tide, the world erupted into chaos as Operation Thunderstrike commenced. From the frozen tundras of Siberia to the scorching deserts of the Sahara, humanity launched its coordinated assault against the Zarkali occupiers. The element of surprise, coupled with months of careful planning, gave the resistance fighters an initial advantage. In the ruins of Chicago, a team led by former MMA fighter turned resistance leader Miguel Sanchez used the city's extensive tunnel system to outmaneuver Zarkali patrols. Armed with Dr. Tanaka's cold fusion rifles, they were able to penetrate alien energy shields for the first time. For Earth, Sanchez roared as his team emerged from a manhole, catching a group of alien soldiers completely off guard. The ensuing firefight lit up the night sky, a beacon of hope in the war-torn city. Halfway across the world, in the dense jungles of Vietnam, guerrilla fighters led by Colonel Nguyen Van Minh employed tactics reminiscent of wars past. Using their intimate knowledge of the terrain, they lured Zarkali units into carefully prepared ambushes. History repeats itself. Min said grimly as alien ships crashed into the canopy, brought down by cleverly disguised anti-aircraft weapons. But this time, we fight for all of humanity. In orbit, the battle raged just as fiercely. A flotilla of hastily retrofitted Earth vessels, under the command of Lieutenant Raj Patel, engaged the Tsar Kali fleet. Though outnumbered and outgunned, the human ships darted between their larger alien counterparts, their smaller size and superior maneuverability allowing them to slip past energy shields and deliver devastating blows. "Remember the horizon," Peto's voice crackled over the comms, for Captain Martinez. But the true turning point came from an unexpected source. In her underground lab, Dr. Aisha Patel activated her experimental device. The small pulsating orb began to emit waves of energy that spread rapidly across the globe. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, Tsar Kali's ships began to falter. Energy shields flickered and died. Weapon systems went offline. The aliens, so reliant on their advanced technology, suddenly found themselves vulnerable. "It worked," Dr. Patel exclaimed, her eyes wide with disbelief and joy. "The disruption field is working." As news of the device's success spread through the whisper net, resistance fighters around the world pressed their advantage. In London, James Collins led a squadron of captured and modified Tsar Kali fighters, now piloted by human hands, in a daring raid on the alien headquarters in Trafalgar Square. "Let's show these wankers how we do things on Earth," Collins said with a grim smile as his team descended on the bewildered alien forces. In the towering megacities of China, millions of civilians who had been forced into labor camps rose up against their oppressors. Led by Wai Lin, a former school teacher turned resistance leader, they overwhelmed the Tsar Kali with sheer numbers and unbridled fury. "We are not your slaves," Wei shouted as she led the charge, her voice echoing through the steel canyons. "This is our world, and we're taking it back." The Tsar Kali, caught off guard by the sudden failure of their technology and the ferocity of the human counterattack, began to retreat. Their carefully laid plans of conquest crumbled in the face of humanity's desperate, all-or-nothing assault. In Washington, D.C., President Rodriguez watched the holographic display of the battle with a mixture of hope and trepidation. "We've got them on the run," General Hayes reported, his voice tight with excitement. "But they're not beaten yet. They're regrouping for a counterattack." Rodriguez nodded grimly. "Then we need to press our advantage. We may not get another chance like this." As the orders went out, the human forces redoubled their efforts. In the Mediterranean, a joint task force of European navies engaged a Tsar Kali fleet attempting to regroup. Led by Greek Admiral Alexandros Papadopoulos, the human ships employed ancient tactics of ramming and boarding, turning the aliens' own massive vessels into battlegrounds. "For Thermopylae," Papadopoulos bellowed as his flagship crashed into the side of a Tsar Kali dreadnought. "For Earth." In the skies above New Delhi, Indian Air Force pilot Amrita Singh led a squadron of fighter jets in a desperate dogfight against alien craft. The humans' inferior technology was offset by their superior skill and determination. "We are the children of Arjuna," Singh told her pilots as they engaged the enemy. "Victory is our birthright." As the battle raged on, it became clear that the tide was turning. The Tsar Kali, so confident in their technological superiority, had never prepared for a scenario where they might be on equal footing with the humans. Their rigid command structure, now in disarray, couldn't adapt to the rapidly changing situation on the ground. In contrast, humanity's decentralized resistance, born out of necessity, proved to be a significant advantage. Each pocket of fighters could act independently, making split-second decisions without waiting for orders from above. As the sun began to set on the first day of the counteroffensive, the Tsar Kali found themselves in retreat on all fronts. Their once mighty armada was in tatters, their ground forces scattered and demoralized. In the ruins of Sydney, Jalu and his Aboriginal fighters watched as the last Tsar Kali ships fled the Australian continent. "The land endures," the elder said softly, his weathered face breaking into a smile. "And so do we." Back in her lab, Dr. Patel worked feverishly to maintain the disruption field. "We need to keep this up," she told her team, her voice hoarse from exhaustion. "If their tech comes back online, we're done for." As night fell, President Rodriguez addressed the world once again. Her face, streamed to every resistance hideout and refugee camp via the whisper net, showed the strain of the day's events, but her eyes blazed with determination. "People of Earth," she began, her voice steady and strong. "Today, we have shown the Tsar Kali and ourselves what humanity is truly capable of. We have pushed back the invaders, reclaimed our cities, our skies, our very planet. But the fight is not over." She paused, her gaze seeming to meet each viewer individually. "The Tsar Kali are wounded, but not defeated. They will regroup, they will try to counter our new weapons and tactics. But we will be ready. Because now we know the truth, we are stronger than they ever imagined. We are humanity, and this is our home." As Rodriguez's words echoed across the battered but unbroken earth, a sense of cautious optimism began to spread. For the first time since the invasion began, victory seemed possible, even probable. But in the depths of space, on the far side of the moon, the Tsar Kali leadership was preparing a final, desperate gambit. They had underestimated humanity once. They would not make the same mistake again. As Earth celebrated its first major victory, the stage was set for the final, climactic battle, one that would determine the fate of both species and the future of the planet itself. Triumph of the human spirit. The celebrations following humanity's initial victory were short-lived. As dawn broke on the second day of the counteroffensive, the whisper net crackled with urgent messages from around the globe. The Tsar Kali were regrouping, and this time, they were playing for keeps. In the remnants of the White House Situation Room, President Rodriguez leaned over a holographic display, her face etched with concern. "What are we looking at, General?" General Hayes pointed to a pulsating red dot on the far side of the moon. "Our long-range sensors picked this up an hour ago. It seems the Tsar Kali had a hidden base there all along. They're amassing for a final assault." Dr. Aisha Patel, joining via secure link, added her insight. "The energy readings are off the charts. Whatever they're planning, it's big, possibly planet-ending big." A heavy silence fell over the room. They had come so far, sacrificed so much. The thought that it might all be for naught was almost unbearable. Rodriguez straightened, her eyes blazing with determination. "Then we end this. Now, before they can bring that weapon to bear, what are our options?" As plans were formulated and orders given, the people of Earth prepared for the final battle. In cities and villages, in mountains and deserts, humans steeled themselves for what might be their last stand. In orbit, Lieutenant Raj Patel rallied Earth's makeshift space fleet. "This is it, people," he said, his voice steady despite the enormity of the task ahead. "Everything we fought for comes down to this moment. We stop them here, or we don't stop them at all." The fleet, a hodgepodge of retrofitted Earth vessels and captured Tsar Kali ships, began its journey to the moon. It was a sight that would have been impossible just months ago. Humans piloting advanced alien craft, ready to take the fight to the enemy's doorstep. On the ground, Dr. Patel worked furiously to enhance the range of her disruption device. "If we can extend the field to the moon," she explained to her team, "we might be able to neutralize their superweapon before it fires." As Earth's forces mobilized, the Tsar Kali made their move. A massive ship, easily dwarfing anything seen before, emerged from behind the moon. Its weapon, a terrifying amalgamation of alien technology, began to power up, its target clear, Earth itself. "My God," whispered James Collins, watching from the bridge of a captured Tsar Kali frigate. "That thing could crack the planet in half." The battle that ensued was like nothing in human history. In space, Earth's fleet engaged the Tsar Kali armada in a desperate bid to reach the superweapon. Explosions lit up the void, turning the dark side of the moon into a gruesome facsimile of daylight. On Earth, Dr. Patel's team worked against time to boost their disruptor's range. "We're almost there," she muttered, her fingers flying over her console. "Just a few more minutes." In the chaos of the space battle, a small team led by Miguel Sanchez managed to board the Zarkali superweapon. Fighting their way through alien corridors, they sought to disable the device from within. "Remember," Sanchez told his team as they battled through waves of Zarkali defenders, "we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for everyone who's ever lived and everyone who ever will. We're fighting for Earth." As the superweapon charged to fire, multiple events occurred simultaneously. Dr. Patel's team finally managed to extend the disruption field to the moon, causing Zarkali systems to falter. Sanchez and his team reached the weapon's core, planting explosive charges, and in a move of supreme sacrifice, Lieutenant Patel piloted his damaged ship on a collision course with the superweapon's main emitter. "For Earth," Patel said quietly, closing his eyes as his ship impacted. The resulting explosion was visible from Earth, a new star briefly flaring in the sky before fading away. For a moment, everything seemed to hang in the balance. Then gradually, the reports started coming in. The superweapon was destroyed. The Zarkali fleet was in disarray. And most importantly, the alien leadership aboard the massive ship had been captured. As news of the victory spread, celebrations erupted across the globe. In Times Square, crowds gathered to watch the footage of Earth's fleet returning triumphant. In the favelas of Rio, samba rhythms filled the air once more. In the markets of Marrakech, people danced in the streets, their joy a defiant rebuke to the destruction around them. In Washington, President Rodriguez addressed the world one final time. "People of Earth," she began, her voice thick with emotion, "we have endured the unthinkable. We have faced an enemy that sought to destroy not just our bodies, but our very spirit, and we have emerged victorious." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "But our victory came at a terrible cost. Millions have died. Our cities lie in ruins. The scars of this war will be with us for generations. Yet, in our darkest hour, we discovered the best of ourselves. We found strength we didn't know we had. We put aside our differences and stood united as one human family. The road ahead will not be easy. We have a world to rebuild. But if we can overcome this, we can overcome anything. The Zarkali came to conquer us, but in doing so, they have only made us stronger. Today, we reclaim our planet. Today, we begin anew. Today, and every day hereafter, we remember, we are humanity, and this is our home." As Rodriguez's words echoed across a battered but unbroken Earth, humanity looked to the future with hope. The Zarkali threat was ended, but the stars suddenly seemed much closer, full of both promise and peril. In the years that followed, Earth rebuilt. Cities rose from the ashes, incorporating both human ingenuity and salvaged alien technology. The moon, once a hidden enemy stronghold, became humanity's first extraterrestrial colony. And as Earth's first faster-than-light ship prepared for its maiden voyage, captained by a seasoned veteran of the Zarkali War, humanity stood united, ready to take its place among the stars. They had been tested in fire and emerged stronger. Whatever the universe held in store, they would face it together. The laughter that had once greeted the alien fleet was gone, replaced by wisdom, determination, and an unshakable belief in the human spirit. Earth had faced its greatest challenge and triumphed. The future, with all its unknowns, awaited.